Hi, it's Barry Campbell from Highland Baptist Church. Wow, what a week it is around here. This is Vacation Bible School Week. I've got a report in my hands here, and it looks like every day this week we're going to have over 450 people here in Vacation Bible School here at HBC. So what a wonderful thing. Just delightful to see all the kids coming in. Kind of funny to notice, we record this on Wednesday morning. So on Monday morning, the kids all come in, and they're smiling and they're running. On Wednesday, they're starting to drag just a little bit. Some of them are kind of getting tired and wearing down, but our workers are doing a great job and we're having a really, really good time. Well, this coming Sunday, we have an event called Salute to America. And I've been preparing for that, of course, for some time, but what I want to do is tell some stories about some Christian heroes. And I found a couple of things where we have some significant Christian heroes whose stories are told in secular history, but secular history kind of leaves out the part about their faith in God. And so I'm just doing some research on that, and I won't have time to do it all on Sunday. So I thought I might just tell you a couple of stories that may or may not be a part of what we do on Sunday at Salute to America. By the way, Salute to America is Sunday, June 30th, 10:30 a.m. We have a huge tent set up out in the grass at 35th and Highland here in Redmond, Oregon, and it's just going to be a wonderful patriotic event, a real celebration of our Christian heritage is what we're going for. So, and I know this is not an announcement time, but I just thought I'd tell you what I'm preparing for. So one of the things I did was I read a little bit about Rosa Parks. Now you remember Rosa Parks. She's the very courageous black woman who back in the 60s refused to give up her seat on a bus for a white man. And so her story is incredible. And she was right there with Martin Luther King Jr. In the early days of the civil rights movement. And some have said that they called her the mother of the modern day civil rights movement. But here's what you may not know. She wrote a book called Quiet Strength. And Rosa Parks says this in the book. And she's talking about that moment when she refused to give up her seat on that bus. She says, quote, "I felt the Lord would give me the strength to endure whatever I had to face. God did away with all my fear. It was time for someone to stand up, or in my case, sit down. So I refused to move." So Rosa Parks was not only a great woman in history, not only a great woman of courage in the civil rights movement, she was a great woman of faith, a Christian who stood strong in her faith. Another incredible black woman is one you may have heard of. Her name is Sojourner Truth. Sojourner Truth. And the way that name came about is she was born with the name Isabella, but she was born as a slave. And so she lived most of her life as a slave, up to her adulthood. And when she escaped from slavery, and she did, she was a slave up in New York, and she escaped from slavery with an infant daughter that she carried with her. And she said when she escaped as a slave, she didn't want anything left from her days of bondage. And so she left her name, her slave name behind. And Isabella said she asked the Lord for a new name. And the Lord said, your name will be Sojourner. And Sojourner is a name that means a temporary traveler who finds a temporary home, like the people of Israel did in Egypt back in the book of Exodus. And so the name Sojourner fit her so well. And then she asked the Lord, she said, Lord, everybody else has two names. What should my second name be? And she said the Lord gave her the name Truth because she was to travel around and tell people the truth. Now she's talking about the truth of the gospel. Of course, she spoke about slavery. She condemned slavery. She was an abolitionist. Imagine an ex-slave and a woman, a former slave and a woman who was speaking out in these huge meetings about slavery and about women's rights and about her faith in Christ. So she went to a meeting, it was called a camp meeting, and there was a big tent. And that big tent, they had a meeting under that tent. Kind of reminded me, we're having on Sunday we're going to be under a big tent. But she was among a bunch of speakers, and some men from the nearby community came, and they had torches and they had sticks, and they were going to break up this meeting. So all the men who were platform speakers, the preachers, I guess, mostly, they tried to speak and calm the crowd down. Didn't do any good. The crowd was still angry. They were going to burn the tents down. And so Sojourner Truth, let me just get to one of the quotes that came up in her life. Sojourner Truth, was at first afraid, but she got her courage up, and so she went to the top of a nearby hill. Now remember, none of the men in this group could calm this crowd down and get them to listen. They'd already called the law to come and arrest these guys, but the law wasn't there yet. So she goes to the top of this hill and she started to sing. And the song that she sang, I can't sing it for you because I don't know the tune, but here are the words of it. She was singing about the resurrection. She said, it was early in the morning, just at the break of day, when he rose, and went to heaven on a cloud. So she was almost 6 feet tall, 5'10", and she was standing on this hill and she was singing, and all these people came around her, all the ones who had been attacking this meeting. They just surrounded her, torches and sticks and clubs. And so she asked them a question. She said, why do you come about me with clubs and sticks? I'm not doing harm to anyone. And somebody in the crowd said, we didn't come to harm you, we came to listen to you sing. And then somebody else said, sing to us, old woman. And she was about 60. Somebody else said, talk to us. And somebody else said, pray. We want to hear you pray. And so she began to speak to these people, and they listened to her for a long, long time. So even though nobody else was able to calm this crowd, Sojourner Truth's great song of faith is what the Lord used to provide a calm to that. Sojourner Truth had her picture made with Abraham Lincoln, and she supplied food to the African American troops. She collected food for those who were in the Civil War that were black troops, and she would supply those companies with food. And then she lived on after the Civil War, and she spoke out. She was courageous, she was brave, she was a pace setter, but most of all, it was her strong faith in Christ that made that possible. So, I don't know what you're going to be up to today. You'll probably face some challenges. Maybe the story of Sojourner Truth can help you remember that God is the God of courage. No matter how many things are against you, God is the God of light, and He's the God of freedom. He's the God of power. When Sojourner Truth had a son, and when she was still a slave, her son was sold into slavery. And her owner, can you imagine having an owner? That just sounds crazy, doesn't it? But her owner mocked her. Sojourner Truth said, I'm going to get my son back. And her slave owner said, you'll never get him back because you don't have enough money. Sojourner Truth said, my God has all the money that is needed. And sure enough, she went to court as a woman and won her son back. It was illegal to transport him across state lines. So when she was freed, she went to court and got her son back from slavery down in the South working in a cotton plantation. Isn't that incredible? In fact, she was the first woman ever to win a court case, arguing the case herself. So God has all that you need. God has all the strength you need. God has all the resources that you need. Trust Him today, no matter what problems you're facing. It's good to spend some time with you today. God bless you. Have a wonderful day. See you this weekend at HBC.